Hey everyone, this is Coloring Chemist. My name is Connie, and welcome back to my channel. I want to experiment today. I have no idea if this is going to work. I suppose if you're seeing this, it must have worked to some extent, because if it didn't work, I probably will just not show this. But I don't often do watercolor backgrounds, whether that be with like Neocolor IIs, got some of them here, or watercolor pencils, or Inktense, or even just watercolors. And I would like to do them more. I have the supplies. You guys know, I just recently bought, oh gosh, what did I buy? The Distress watercolor crayons, or pencils, I guess they're called. And, well, I got the crayons too. Yeah, I mean, I have the stuff. But every time I've tried it in the past, it always turns out so blotchy for me. And I know what I really need to do is I need to watch some experts on watercolor and just see what they do. And I have watched some, and I've learned about, if it's blotchy, you can go back and you can pull color off the individual crayons and kind of touch up and do all those kinds of things. But the chemist in me, for those of you that don't know, and I know I say this a lot, somebody commented on this, I know, but it explains, I think, a lot of why I do what I do. I'm a chemistry teacher, chemistry instructor. And I just started to think about some of the mediums that I have, and how could I use those, or basically, would they make a difference in terms of getting a smoother laydown for watercolors? Now, I also recently stumbled across a video, and I'll try and remember to link it below. And it was a watercolor artist talking about fixing, what did she call them, like cauliflower blooms? When you're watercoloring, particularly if you go back and try and, basically if you overwork an area, you get, you're adding water to an area that's already kind of dry, and then you get that bloom and you get the hard edges, and then this is where the rabbit hole I fall down. It's not so much a rabbit hole, it's a excuse me. It's a chasm that I fall down, because then I can't leave it alone, because I can see this harsh line that's developed, and I want to, so then I go back and I'm trying to fix it, but the more I work it, the worse it's getting. And for those of you who are watercolorists, if you happen to be watching this, you're probably either rolling your eyes at me or you're nodding along like, yes, that is a very common beginner mistake. But the lady was talking about fixing these harsh edges after they've dried with watercolor blending medium. And I had a bottle of this in my supplies that I purchased almost when I started coloring, I think. And I don't even remember why. I don't remember why I purchased it. But this is Winsor Newton. I'm sure other companies make watercolor medium as well, but it's blending medium. And the whole point is you're supposed to use this instead of water to slow your drying time with watercolors. So if you slow your drying time, that allows better blending, right? So it's particularly for, it says on the back, extends working time even in hot climates. For maximum effect, dilute with medium only, can also be mixed with water. So they mean dilute your watercolor paints. So basically, and I know this isn't a watercolor brush, but instead of dipping your brush in water and then into your watercolor pans and getting color that way, you would dip your brush in a little container of this and get your color that way. And this lady was fixing these blooms with watercolor medium, blending medium. And I thought, what happens if we use watercolor medium, blending medium, to activate, say, Neocolor IIs? What happens if we use it straight out of the bottle? What happens if I put some in a water brush along with some water? Does that make a better blending solution than just plain water? I don't know. Let's see. So I specifically took two books that I knew gave issues in terms of using watercolor or water activated media on them. You know what? Hang on one sec. I'm going to grab... just thinking I was going to dip this brush straight into the blending medium, but there's going to be color on the brush and I don't want to dip that into the bottle. So I'm just taking this, I'm just pouring. These are these little plastic... I had a sleeve of these from, I don't even remember when. It was something I did that I had to take to my daughter's school and they needed little... I don't remember. Anyway, so I just use them for putting... And then I just wash it out and I can... But it's nice. It's small, right? It's fairly stable. It doesn't tip easily. So yeah, I just wanted to see if the blending medium does any better than just plain water. So this is Lulu Mayo's A Million Cute Animals. And I know Lulu Mayo paper is kind of infamous for getting a really dotty texture. Not a texture. I don't know what it is, but it's got to be something to do with the paper. When you try and use water media on this paper. So let's see if this is just some Neocolor crayons that I just scribbled on here a minute ago. This is just plain water. I'll sort of divide this into thirds. And I'm not good at this. We'll just sort of activate these. It's about a third. These layers here. This is just, like I say, it's just plain water. And I think you can see, although I will zoom down here in a second. That's what people mean by the dotty, spotty stuff that happens. Yeah, it's kind of pushing some of the color through to the other side. It will dry better than that, but I just wanted to see if using this blending medium made a difference. Maybe it doesn't. By the way, this is just a Caran d'Ache water pen. And truthfully, I mean, these are pricey because everything Caran d'Ache does is pricey. And I bought a 3-pack of these. They come in 3 different sizes. There's 2 of these just kind of brush, just sort of standard. The only really unique, and it's got a push button. The only really unique thing is the filling mechanism for how to fill it up. It's like a little plunger thing, but it just happened to be what I had sitting on the desk in front of me. They also come, and this is interesting. This is neat. It's a watercolor brush. This is in the pack. I think you can buy them individually as well. But instead of a brush, there's like a foam tip or like a pressed fiber tip. That's neat. You don't often see that. So there's just water. This is, I think this is just an Arteza. It doesn't even have a name on it. It's just, I mean, you can probably buy these no name as well, right? This came in a pack. There was, I don't know, 8 of them or something like that. And this is, it's a smaller tip brush than the Caran d'Ache. But I put probably, I don't know, I wasn't even really paying attention. So you can see there's an air bubble in here. So the water reservoir is just about full. And I probably put, well, let's say that much. So from the bottom up to about there-ish of the blending medium, the watercolor blending medium in here, and then the rest of it with water. And then I just sort of shook it to mix it. And I just used a disposable pipette to put it in here. So, I don't know. Let's see. We have flow in here. Yeah, that's good. Let's do another third. And, oh, guess, see, I'm not good at this. We need to start with the light. We'll just see if it makes a difference. I don't know what's in the blending medium. If I had to guess, I'm guessing some kind of, feels like glycerin. You know what I mean? Like it feels thicker than water, but it's still water soluble. So it's obviously not an oil kind of product. I think, well, I don't know. You know, it certainly didn't. Oh, you guys can't see. Sorry. I'm just looking at the back side here. So you can see here. So I started the water. Maybe I'll just come out a bit. There we go. So I started the water there. All right, so this, can you see the color came through? That was just the water in the water pan. And then I came down here. I don't know if you can see, there's water pushing the dye, or the pigment, colorant, through. And then I stopped the water right about there. And then I started the water / blending solution, blending medium mixture there. And you know, I think this, with the blending solution in it, actually warped the paper less. That's what I feel. I feel like the water, because again, I knew that this particular paper was not great with water. And so, you know, I chose that for a reason. But I feel like the water pen, now I'm still getting spottiness. We'll let that dry, and we'll see if the spottiness is less than the spottiness with just plain water. Now I know this isn't a watercolor brush. It's just cheap little synthetic. Oh, it has glitter in it. Not glitter glue. I don't know. It'll be fine. But I'm just going to dip this in the straight blending medium here. Yeah, it's definitely thicker. And let's see what happens on this last bit. Ooh. Interesting. I might have put too much on the first part there. I can actually see through the paper now. I know there's probably a bunch of you out there shouting at the camera, "That's Connie, that's not what that's for." I know. But I don't know. Chemist in me, I guess. I just wanna try, wanna experiment. It's not what it's for, but it might work. Well, that made the paper like translucent. I don't know, this last one was a terribly good experiment. Okay. Interestingly, I don't see any spottiness. Oh, that pushed. Okay, then. That may have not been a good plan. Okay. So, we're going to put this aside to dry. Because I want to see what happens here when that dries. But we're going to put this aside to dry. And I also pulled out this is R.J. Hampson's Serendipity. So this is an Amazon print, Create Space book. Because again, I just wanted to see if there's any difference using plain water water mixed with some blending medium and pure blending medium. I'm thinking the pure blending medium is not a good plan. But let's try some plain water first. It always surprises me. I mean, I guess it shouldn't. How... I mean, I put down very little crayon, and just the level of pigment you get from those Caran d'Ache Neocolor IIs always surprises me. This is just water. Water and a water brush. It's very much warping the paper. But that's, I would think, to be expected. I'm just going to do a quarter of it. Do a third and a third. Let's go down to there. And my technique is probably terrible. I apologize. This is not a tutorial in any way, shape, or form on how to activate Neocolor IIs at all. Okay, so this was my water brush with, you know, I'm getting the feeling as I'm doing this, and based on what I saw on the other page, maybe I could have even put more blending medium in here. Might try that. Once this, you know, once I will use some of this, rather than replacing it with water, I might make maybe even a 50-50 mix? Because I'm thinking the blending medium alone that did not work. We'll see what that dries as, but it didn't look good. But I feel like this could maybe benefit from flowing a bit better here. I mean, I guess I also have the, if we're talking about control groups, experimentation, I should have been using 2 of the same water pens, but I'm not. Or water brushes, I should say. It'll be okay. Definitely feeling I feel like having the blending medium in this water brush as well almost kind of slows how quickly the water is feeding out, which would kind of make sense because it would technically thicken the water that's in here. But it could just be because it's a smaller brush. No, it's still good. Not bad flow. I mean, yeah, this is going to have more flow. It's a bigger brush. Now, I mean, that's going to push through Amazon paper no matter what you do. It might dry, so it's not quite so colorful on the back. So now we're going to try, I don't think this is going to work. We'll try just some straight up blending medium. Yeah, I don't think this is a good idea. But I started it now. I probably won't finish this page. I mean, this is just a playing around kind of page, which I know is probably sacrilegious to those of you who really love RJ Hampson. My apologies, RJ. I mean, maybe I've got too much of it on my brush. I feel like the brush dries out really quickly. Or, I mean, it's the paper is really, really soaking up the blending medium quickly. So I keep dipping my brush. And maybe this is probably wasn't the greatest brush, but I also didn't want to be, well, I guess it's meant for it. I was thinking I didn't want to be using one of my better watercolor brushes, but I guess that's what it's for, isn't it? Guess I could have done that. Okay. I'm gonna move that so I don't tip it. I mean, I think it definitely slows the drying time, which is what it's supposed to do. I feel like it warps the paper a little less than just straight water. Let's move this aside. Let's go back and see how the other one's doing. Yeah, I would say it warps the paper less. Does it? You know what? I actually didn't get that much. Well, yeah, I did. Did I get less spotty? It might actually reduce the spottiness on Lulu paper. That's going to take a while to dry, which, yeah, that's what it's supposed to do, right? It's supposed to extend the drying time. I mean, it's drying here. This was just, remember, this was the straight blending medium. I mean, I don't know what that's going to look like. Can you see? I mean, it just looks like kind of an oily, but it's not oily. It's water soluble. That's why I think it's like a glycerin. That's what it feels like. There's no odor to it. Like, there's no smell. But you can see it almost looks like I put oil on the other side of the paper. I don't know if that will go away when it dries. We will have to see. I will probably insert maybe a little, I'll let these dry maybe for a couple hours, and I'll insert a little thing at the very end of this video just to show you what they look like after a couple hours. But I think, if we zoom in here, so from here to here, right there, that was just plain water. And I think, particularly with the darker color, you can definitely see some of that spottiness. And it's the paper, right? It's just whatever the structure of the paper is, that's how it's reacting to the water that's being put on the paper. And then you're seeing that because you're putting a colorant down as well. And then, try to keep them both in frame here, more or less. So yeah, there to there, that's just plain water, and it's quite ripply up there. Here to here is the blending solution with some water. Now it's a smaller area, but it definitely feels less crinkly. I think it blended better. I mean, it could be my technique too, but I can see like a line here, right, where I didn't do such a great job blending the darker and the lighter, but I actually don't see a line there. Interesting. This blended really well. I don't see a line, you know, I don't see any of the cauliflowering, but I don't know if that was such a good idea. I am wondering though, now I'm curious, I think I will play around with sort of ratios of blending solution to water in this pen, maybe in some other pens, and just see. But yeah, if anyone's curious, I think you can get this blending medium. I bought this a couple of years ago from an online store here in Canada, Delta Art, and retail price was $12.59 Canadian, and Delta's price was $8.75 Canadian. So maybe it's over $10 by now Canadian, might even be less in other countries. I don't know. Like I say, Winsor & Newton is one brand. I think you can get other brands of, but you want watercolor blending medium, because then that's going to be able to mix and dissolve with water in a water pen. Okay, that's still This can be a long time to dry. I definitely think it crinkles the paper less. Doesn't take the crinkling away completely, but I think it crinkles it less. So there you go. That was my experiment for today. Just a quick pop back in here. The pure watercolor blending medium took a long time to dry. I would say like over a day, but did actually, well, no, it still kind of leaves almost like a, I say oily, but it's not oil, but that's kind of what it looks like, and it tends to push the color through to the back of the page. So yeah, again, just a quick kind of, you know, I said I would come back and show these after they were dry. I wouldn't use pure blending medium to do blending on coloring books. I still am really liking the water pen that I made, where I put like a quarter, between a fifth and a quarter of the pen. Like I say, it was probably about that much at the bottom of the pen was blending medium, and the rest was just water. But I mean, you can, I don't think it needs to be precise or exact. Yeah, play around with amounts and see what you like best. I don't know that I would go over like 50-50, because I think you'd be getting too much blending medium then, and then you'd have some of these same problems. But I don't know if you I mean, it's really crinkly where I just use the water, which, I mean, that's pretty typical. Much less crinkly where I use the water pen with some blending medium. And the same thing here, when we did this on the Amazon paper. Very crinkly up here with just the water. Less crinkly down here. It certainly is the least crinkly where we just used pure blending medium, but again, it really pushes the color through and you almost get this oily kind of outline. So I would say, yeah, in the grand scheme of things, that combination of blending medium and the water pen, and I used it to do a background with some Neocolor IIs in actually an untouched book, a book I have that I never colored in before, but I'm going to leave it so it's a surprise for maybe my colored pages in February, possibly March. Just depends on when I finish it. But yeah, so I used the pen that had the combination of water and blending medium to activate the Neocolor II in the background, and I really liked it. I think it's maybe gotten me over that block that I had where I was just really hesitant to use any kind of watercolor, you know, type medium in backgrounds, whether it be, I realize it's not actually watercolor, but just, let's say activated mediums, or even watercolor. I haven't tried it with watercolor itself, but you know what, I should. But, you know, watercolor crayons or pencils or anything like that, because it just, to me, it always got so blotchy, and I got like those cauliflower blooms. But putting the blending medium in with the water in that pen really seems to have helped that. I got great blending. So yeah, just wanted to insert this little bit because I said I would check back after everything had dried. If you like what you're seeing on my channel, consider liking the video, subscribing, hitting the notification bell so you know when I post new stuff, leaving a comment, letting a friend know that you found a channel that you like and they might like it too. I hope everyone is safe. I hope everyone is well. And I hope everyone is enjoying their coloring. Till next time, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.